Now let's go back to John chapter 18 again. That talks. That was all prompted by Peter's denial of Jesus and the fact that Jesus did not reproach Peter. Peter suffered the reproaches of his own conscience, and Jesus helped him in that case. Now let's talk now about Jesus before Pilate. John chapter 18, verse 33. I think this is all very interesting here. John chapter 13. Jesus is brought in to appear before Pilate. Let's begin reading with verse 33. Pilate entered into the judgment hall again and called Jesus and said unto him, Art thou the king of the Jews? Jesus answered him and said, Sayest thou this thing of thyself, or did others tell it thee of me? Now the reason Jesus said this to Pilate is, if you'll notice, the Jews, the Jewish leaders, when they brought Jesus before Pilate, they didn't bring any accusations. Did you notice that? Pilate said, What are the charges? And they said, well, if he wasn't guilty, we wouldn't have brought him. They didn't offer any charges. They couldn't find any fault with him. Pilate said, I can't find any fault with him. You know, when Jesus was before the high priest and the man slapped him, and Jesus said, well, if I've spoken anything wrong, tell me what it is. They couldn't. They couldn't find any fault with him. You know, when they said, let's see, what is it that they accused him? The high priest began to ask Jesus about his doctrine. And Jesus said, I spoke openly. I wasn't doing anything in secret. There's no conspiracy here. Everything I said was out and open. If you want evidence of what I said, it'd be better to ask the people that I spoke to. Then they slapped him. He said, if I've done anything wrong, tell me what I've done. They couldn't bring any charges. He hadn't done anything wrong. He hadn't said anything wrong. When they brought him to Pilate, they had no charges against him. Pilate said, what are the charges? And they said, well, we wouldn't have brought him if he wasn't guilty. So Pilate, I think he understood that it was purely for jealousy that they brought him before him. So Pilate privately brings him in to the hall. And Pilate says to him, are you the king of the Jews? Now, the reason Jesus said, are you saying this of yourself, or did others tell it thee of me? The Jewish leaders didn't accuse him of this. So Jesus, when Pilate asked him that, Jesus is dealing with Pilate as though he's asking a sincere question. Maybe Pilate is come up, Jesus said, is this what you think? Nobody else has brought up the word king before, but you did. Are you the king of the Jews? Pilate says. And is this your question, Jesus said, or did somebody else tell you this? And so Pilate said, verse 35, am I a Jew? In other words, look at me. Do I look like a Jew? Your own nation, the chief priests, have delivered you to me. What have you done? And so Jesus, taking what Pilate said, elaborates on it in verse 36. Jesus answered, my kingdom is not of this world. Based on what Pilate said, are you a king? My kingdom is not of this world. That's very interesting and deserves some thought on our part. My kingdom, Jesus' kingdom, is not of this world. Elliot, Anton, give me the Message translation. Notice what he says. I like the way he says it. My kingdom, said Jesus, doesn't consist of what you see around you. That's what it means. It's not of this world. It's not a worldly, a physical kingdom. It does not consist of what you see around you. If it did, my followers would fight so that I wouldn't be handed over to the Jews. But I'm not that kind of king, not the world's kind of king. He is a king, all right, but he's not the king the way the world has kings. The way the world has kings is everything is external, everything is physical. Jesus is not a king in that kind of a sense. So if Jesus is not, if his kingdom is not of this world, and he's not a king over consisting of the things that you see around you, if that's not what his kingdom is, what is the place that he rules? What is his kingdom? Well, his kingdom is what's not seen. And really, we could say it's in here. He rules in the hearts and in the consciences of those who are his followers. Now, a physical king, a physical ruler, establishes his kingdom by force. He takes his guns and his armies and his tanks and his bombs, and by force he moves into some territory and subdues it by force, and then from the outside in attempts to subjugate the people and make them agreeable to this new kingdom. That's how an earthly kingdom, an earthly ruler does it. Jesus does not work that way. He's not a king as kings of this world. He doesn't come from the outside in. He gets into the inside first. Into individuals' hearts. He rules in here. Notice something, Elliot, would you give me Luke's Gospel, chapter 17, verse 20. Luke 17:20. The Pharisees asked Jesus on another occasion about his kingdom. He said, when he was demanded of the Pharisees when the kingdom of God should come, he answered them and said, "The kingdom of God cometh not with observation." That means it's not, the kingdom of God is not something you look around and see, like we look around and see the government of the United States. We can see where the capital is. We can go to Canada and see where their capital is. We can go to Mexico and see where their capital is. But the kingdom of God, you can't look around and see it that way. It doesn't come with outward observation. Next verse. "Neither shall they say, Lo here, over here, lo there, for behold, the kingdom of God is," where? "Within you." So when Jesus told Pilate, "My kingdom is not of this world," well, where is His kingdom? He rules in here. You see, individuals that receive Jesus as Lord, a Lord is a king, by the way. A Lord is one who has lordship or dominion. He comes and rules, and He's a king in here, in the lives of those who willingly choose to submit to Him. Now, what does that mean then? Let's talk about us individually. What does it mean for us if Jesus, He's not king out here, but He's king in here. He rules in here. What does that mean? Does it mean anything for us? Well, yes, it does. It means that He rules, He reigns, He's the king in our hearts and in our conscience. That's where He rules.